I have to deal with this Obama endorsement because it's really worth looking at really closely. It's every time the guy speaks, I got to say, it's depressing because it just brings back that 8-year atmosphere of, oh, America is to blame. America has been arrogant. We're so sorry, Iran, for the way America has treated you. Every time I hear his voice, I just think like, why do I feel so depressed? Oh, yeah, it's because that thing is grinding in my ear like a screwdriver stuck into my brain. Anyway, now the Democrats are united behind Joe Biden, right? They're Elizabeth Warren endorsed him this morning, I think, and Bernie, of course, has endorsed him. But Barack Obama, this is the big one, and it is hilarious. I mean, he waited until it was just impossible to do anything else. I was still thinking, like, maybe his wife would run, or maybe, like, they would run a robot, or maybe would just... Come on, man. They would just put a mask on somebody else, because really, Biden is no more able to handle the presidency than he is to walk around, get out of a corner if he bumps into one. But that's the thing. We're no longer talking about Joe Biden. We're talking about a man who is going to be the container, the normal-looking container for the left wing's toxic leftism, their toxic socialism, the way they have been moved so far to the left. And that is what Obama is telling you. Obama is telling you that even he, as far left as he took the country, even he was not left enough, but now we have moved even further. This is cut one.
If I were running today, I wouldn't run the same race or have the same platform as I did in 2008. The world is different. There's too much unfinished business for us to just look backwards. We have to look to the future. Bernie understands that, and Joe understands that. It's one of the reasons that Joe already has what is the most progressive platform of any major party nominee in history. Because even before the pandemic turned the world upside down, it was already clear that we needed real structural change. The vast inequalities created by the new economy are easier to see now, but they existed long before this pandemic hit.
He was only a good vice president because he understood how to kiss Barack Obama's
So here's what he's telling you. He's telling you that Biden won because everybody backed the image of Joe Biden, the centrist. Everybody backed the image of Joe Biden, the old-fashioned liberal from the old days, white-haired Uncle Joe. We all know him. We love him. As long as you don't get too close to him, ladies, he's a great guy. All right. That's why what we sold him to. But we don't want to lose the Bernie people. So don't worry, because in that Russian doll, when you open up the top of that Russian doll, Bernie is inside. You pull off the Biden head, but Bernie is inside. That's what he's telling you. And they have to say this because progressivism is progressive. That's why they call it that. It is like emphysema. It just keeps getting worse and worse. And it's not, the opposite of that is not a conservatism of stasis. It's not a conservatism that fights change. It's Burkean conservatism that changes for the times in keeping with our values, our old values, and our old laws. In other words, it uses the Constitution to change for the times instead of getting rid of the Constitution, which is what they want to do. Now, listen to this. This is cut number 3 as he tells us what Joe is going to bring for us.
Right now, we need Americans of goodwill to unite in a great awakening against a politics that too often has been characterized by corruption, carelessness, self-dealing, disinformation, ignorance, and just plain meanness.
We're so mean. We Republicans, you're mean. You're mean, you Republicans. You won't give us everything. Now, remember when Donald Trump said America first? The news media went nuts saying, well, America first, that was a pro-Hitler movement, featuring Charles Lindbergh that didn't want to go to war with the Nazis because they were actually sympathetic with Lindbergh. So they said, keep America first, keep America out of the European wars. So when Donald Trump said America first, he must be a Nazi. Well, the Great Awakening was a religious movement. That's funny. I was on the Dan and Amy show on Chicago radio this morning, and Dan was saying this. The Great Awakening was a religious movement. And so what Obama is saying is our religion is longer Jesus Christ. It's no longer God. Our religion is now politics. Our religion is now leftism. So that's what he's saying. I mean, we can't say, if Trump can't use the words America first without being connected to the Nazis, Obama can't use the words Great Awakening without making it a religious reference. He is saying this is a religious movement. This is how you're going to fix it. You're not going to fix things by taking responsibility for yourself. You're not going to fix things by presenting your sins to God. You're not going to fix things by having faith and moving forward. No, you're going to fix things by us giving you other people's money, taking other people's money and giving it to you. That is how you are now going to become the full being that you can become. You know, Cuomo said the other day, he said something like, the number of virus cases hasn't gone down because of God. It's gone down because of what we did. And the difference between God and a Democrat is that God doesn't think he's a Democrat. All right. But now he says this. Now we go, this is one I love. This is cut number 4 of Barack Obama.
I know he'll surround himself with good people, experts, scientists, military officials who actually know how to run the government and care about doing a good job running the government.
So Trump isn't surrounded by experts who know and care how to run the government. But that's not the point. The point is he's telling you, don't worry, Joe is just a hologram. We're talking about Jologram. This is a Jologram Biden. Jologram Biden is going to sit there and be a three-dimensional figure, but he's not running the country. The experts are running the country. Now, remember how the experts ran the country. It's the experts who brought us the Iran deal, because if we just were nice to Iran, they were going to become part of the community of nations, right? It was the experts who brought us 1% growth by saddling our economy with Obamacare and all the other stupid stuff, the regulations and everything they did, so that they had to keep telling us what a great economy it was while we were looking at our dinner tables and saying, it's not. Well, I'm looking at my dinner table. I can see that I don't have food on the table. I can see I don't have a job. I can see I'm addicted to OxyContin. I can see my neighbors are dying of despair. They're dying of addiction. I don't care what you're telling me. As Donald Trump said when he looked out at one of his massive rallies, he said, if unemployment was what they said it was, this room wouldn't be filled. And that was exactly right. This idea, I mean, Obama used to say this. He would say, I wish I could lock myself in a room with the experts and solve the problem. But it's in this moment that we see that the experts don't solve the problem. I have been very respectful of Dr. Fauci. I think he actually does a good job, and I actually think he says things that are true that get reported as if they weren't true. But he ain't running the country. He doesn't make the decisions. Trump has got to listen to him. He's got to listen to his economic advisors. He's got to listen to his critics. He's got to listen to his friends. Yesterday, he introduced a committee, an advisory board, to talk about reopening the country. And he read off this long, long list of all the businessmen. There were people who liked him, people who didn't like him. There were critics. He's the guy who's got to make the decisions. As George W. Bush said, he's the decider. He is the guy who makes the decisions. So all these experts, all these things, they're telling us that we don't really need Joe Biden. We just need Jologram Biden. We just need make-believe Joe Biden, because we can all see what he is. We can all see the guy isn't there anymore. That is absurd. Before you go, one last thing. Hit the subscribe button so that you stay up to date on all our content.